So, in thinking about what I wanted to talk about tonight, thought, well, why not talk about my two big passions in life, which is design and food. After all, I'm a designer and I'm married to a chef, so it seemed to make sense. And also, yes, it's really good it was then. And also, in kicking off Design Week coming up and To Do and so many of these great design events, why not talk about the culinary arts, which is one of the aspects of design? What do design and food have in common, you might ask? Well, in both cases, they create an experience and they tell a story. And so what I wanted to do is share with you tonight a bunch of stories from chefs from around the city about what their food memories are and why they're their food memories and what it has meant to them. And so these memories often will tell you a little bit about their culture, about their family. Often it's what's inspired them, and it also creates a sense of nostalgia. And so the first one I'm going to share is not from a chef, but it's just of myself. As a Chinese person growing up in Saskatoon, we're a Chinese family, and with very few Chinese people, even fewer places to buy Chinese food. So everything we did, we had to make from scratch. Dumplings were one of our favorite things to make, so everything about dumplings we had to make from scratch. And so my mom would make the dough. Everybody in the family would get involved. The girls would wrap the dumplings. If you can see that picture, which hopefully you can't see that clearly, but it's a really embarrassing picture of me as a child. No, I'm not the cute little girl in the front. I'm really the nerdy one over there in the Garfield sweatshirt, but that's okay. I've embraced my nerdiness, so I'm okay with that. But as you can see, the entire family is involved, and to me, that is what food represents. It's all about family, it's all about connections. This is Chef Donna Dewar. You may recognize her from her TV show Cookworks, which was on the Food Network, I think. Also, Mildred Pierce, which shut down a few years ago, was reincarnated as Mildred's Temple Kitchen. And so she shared a story with me, actually, saying that when she was a teenager, she actually wanted to be an architect originally, but she had an opportunity to go to the Expo 67, where she literally ate her way around the world. And that was her inspiration to become a chef. She put being an architect on the shelf, and she's had 30 plus years of experience in the culinary industry. And if you've ever been to her restaurant, it's amazing. If you haven't, you should go. Chef Hamad Kenshan, who is formerly of Auberge Pommier and currently the chef instructor at the Chef's House. He was in India, actually, when he wrote me his inspiration. And his inspiration is actually something that he grew up eating from his mom, which is pickled mangoes. His mom would pick these ripe mangoes, and she would put them in salt and put them in earthenwares, bury them for 3 to 6 months, and after 3 to 6 months, voila, amazing pickles. And in fact, in his email, he was saying, I'm actually eating them right now. So that was amazing. And I wish, after he had described it, I actually want to make it. It sounded so good. Next, we have Chef Dana Spears, who is the executive chef at Loblaws Texas Kitchen. And when she had written me her response, it was an incredible response. A lot of these chefs have shared personal dear stories, and I'm really honored to have heard them. So she said when her family first moved from Canada to Manhattan, they went to this restaurant called Mezzaluna, where she had the most incredibly plated, simple salad that she's ever had. And that was in 1981. She was 11 years old, and that's what inspired her to become a chef. And incidentally, that restaurant's still open, and I really want to go and try it someday. But really simple food, and she actually was even just there over the Christmas break in hopes that this restaurant never shuts down, which I also hope, because I would like to go and visit it someday. Tyler Cunningham, who is the executive chef at the Air Canada Club, formerly of Mildred's Temple Kitchen as well. His story was also incredible. He recently celebrated his grandmother's 95th birthday, and instead of actually giving me a response, he sent me the letter, which is incredible. And this letter was basically just saying thank you to his grandmother for showing him how to use local natural ingredients, how to forage for fiddleheads, for wild leeks, for berries, how to tap into trees for sap, even though in hindsight now he doesn't think they were even maple trees. So, whatever. You can find him at the local markets every day in the summertime looking for the local ingredients to use in his restaurant. This lady, Nadej Norian, who many of you may know for her amazing pastry shop on Queen West, Nadej, she is actually a fourth-generation pastry chef, and so she was telling me the story of how she grew up eating chocolate truffles made by her grandmother. In fact, her grandmother taught her how to make chocolate truffles. And so she was saying that in her family, they actually never buy chocolate truffles, but quite honestly, if any of you have tasted tasted her truffles, I wouldn't either if I could make them like that. And so she does say that she will purchase outsider truffles every once in a while, but it's really, industry taste testing. James Treadwell, who is a sommelier at Treadwell Restaurant in Port Dalhousie, one of my absolute favorite restaurants. If any of you have never been, you should all go for sure. He grew up in a culinary family, actually. His father is the executive chef at Treadwell, and he was saying that his love-hate relationship is with cottage pie, which many of us actually know as shepherd's pie. He grew up hating shepherd's pie or cottage pie, and it wasn't until he left his family's house, his parents' house, wasn't until he actually left the culinary world and went into the wine world that he came to appreciate it again. And now he loves it, even though his family's recipe hasn't changed at all. And Roger Mooking, again, many of you may recognize him for his TV shows, Heat Seekers and Everyday Exotic. He also is the executive chef at Cultura. And he was describing an incredible dish, which is actually, I think, the official or unofficial national dish of Trinidad and Tobago, which is curried crab and dumplings. And so he had said that was something that was very plentiful, very cheap when he was living there growing up, because crab, obviously, if you're in an island, crab's easy to come by, and dumplings are really just flour and water. And now, because you can't get it here, he's learned to appreciate it, and he has very fond memories of eating that growing up. And so finally, I just wanted to share 3 last words with you, because really food and design are incredibly alike, whether you're a chef or a designer. 3 words: inspire, create, and share. We all have our own sources of inspiration. We all create something from that source of inspiration, and we only create so that we can share. So keep that in mind, everyone. And now, after talking about food for the last 6 odd minutes, I'm a little hungry. I'm trying to find something to eat after this. Thanks so much, guys.